JavaScript functions are allowed to be nested. It's possible to have a function within a function. And when that happens, the inner function has access to variables defined in the outer scope. In fact, the inner function has access to all variables that are in scope when it's declared. And this is the property known as closure. Here's a very common example of a jQuery method call that takes advantage of this closure property. What this code here is doing is performing an AJAX HTTP GET request to this URL here. Now this is an asynchronous operation, so the script is going to start that method call and then continue processing without waiting for the result. And when a result is returned from the server, then it will call this callback that's passed as the second argument to the get function. The closure here is the fact that the callback function is able to access the result selector variable, which is declared outside of the function and may not be in scope anymore when the callback function is called. But because it was in scope when the function was declared, and because JavaScript has closure, the result selector variable remains accessible. Let's jump to an example. This example is a little bit more complicated than anything we've seen so far, so make sure you take the time to really look at it and try to understand it. Maybe pause the video if you need to. Remember also that you can always access the JSBin URL here and get access to this code and play around and experiment for yourself. What I've got here is three functions. The outer function here. Inside the outer function there's the middle function, and inside the middle function there's the inner function. Now at each of these levels, firstly at the very top level, I've declared a variable. The first one's A. Then within the outer function there's a variable B. Within the middle function a variable C. And right at the end I kick the whole process off by invoking the outer function. When that happens, at the end of the outer function, it in turn invokes the middle function, and then at the end of the middle function, the inner function is invoked. This is demonstrating closure because when the inner function is invoked, it outputs the value of each of the variables A, B, and C, all of which are declared in outer scopes. If I run this now, we expect to see ABC. And that demonstrates closure.